Joyful Charanjian today, taking on dementia. And so I always like to go to the etymology of the word. And now that we realise that the number one cause of death in Australian women is dementia, and we know that that has to be in the environment propagated and created, and they're just choosing it, essentially, for responsibility. So the meaning of the word: extremely low mental condition, out of one's mind. Spiritually, it's a dementor. So what's bothering me? Something's out of my control. And to be stark raving mad. And what did they used to do in medieval times with them? They would burn them at the stake. Why? Because they attracted it. They chose to be stark raving mad and to spread that because they couldn't control themselves. Why would you choose this? You wouldn't, logically. But it happens. So it's subconscious. So my suggestion is fix up your gut. And now that this is growing rapidly, and of course we are building more and more nursing homes and dementia clinics in preparation for this. So spiritually, we're growing demons at a faster rate. And 5G is going to make it significantly faster and stronger and harder to achieve stillness and mindfulness, so you can actually find out that these things are there. So how do we know what it is? Well, generally, it happens in the Vata body type the most. And if we take our examples from Mother Nature, this is the spine. And if you look at a cordyceps mushroom video, but any virus, parasites or fungus will go up around the spine and then go up to the brain and completely take over. That's why the person can't sit still, always has to be busy, always has to be doing something. And in a 5G supercharged society, that's only going to increase. So my question is, how's your mindfulness? It's a basic level. How many voices do you have in your head? It should only be one, ideally none, when you have the opportunities to create that. If there's more, you're possessed. Seems pretty simple, doesn't it? Might want to fix that. And as it is in the spine, look, we've all got tension on the bottom of the spine. If we don't have practices to choose to fix that, and we're making choices like sugar and food-like products and dairy and stuff to feed these dementors, which if you have a look down in the bottom of the spine, if you're on a microscope or in the nervous system, it is a parasite with some mucus around it. It looks like a dementor or a ghost on a microscope. Yeah. How many are you getting triggered? Guess what's there? Yeah. Luckily, I've got this under control, so I think it's hilarious. And these things are making every decision for you, or in control, because you're out of your own control. And these things, because it's down here in that reproductive system environment along the spine, that's impacting your spirit, your sexuality, your spirituality, and every single thought pattern. Every single thought pattern. And if we've got lots in the reproductive system, well, what happens when you get to the butt and the coccyx gland and that environment there? What do you think's there that's co-creating and controlling every single thought pattern? And growing and growing and growing. Significantly impacting our relationships to money, our relationships to people, every relationship you can think of, but more importantly, our safety and security. So if you're choosing to grow and propagate a big butt, you might want to fix that, because it's eating you alive and eating your safety and security centers alive. This will result in pushing away relationships or saying silly things that are completely demented or out of the mind of control. It's like, well, how did I say? Why did I? How? What? The use of the words weird and crazy. Where do you think the source of that is? Yeah, exactly. How many times a day do you use those words? Quite a bit in it, isn't there? How many times have you screwed up a relationship by saying something which was reflected as, what are you talking about? What are you saying? What? Every time someone says that sort of term, they're correct. It's a correct reflection of what's going on in your internal world. I suggest you fix that. Other signs. If you've got flabby arms, your lymphatic system is not working. Therefore, you're unable to detoxify at all. You will just put on more and more and more weight, which is really just toxicity and mucus infestation full of a habitat for parasites, and drawing in sugar and terrible foods and making decisions that are not for your highest good, contributing to your own self-sabotage. And what happens to the burning of the fire at the stake? Well, if all of your energy in your body is going down to the bottom to try to fix up all of the crap that is there, there is a fire. There is an insecurity levels, and you're only able to, and have the capacity to think with your butt at best, because I'm recently discovering there are so many viruses, parasites and fungus and imbalances and illnesses in the bottom of the legs. And if you've chosen to have varicose veins and cut off and have fungus and problems with the bottom of your feet, these creatures are taking over, and is the subconscious bodily template operation. So your brain is therefore focusing on your feet and your lower self, and therefore incredibly insecure, looking up at everything. But it's subconscious, you won't realize it, because if you don't have a nervous and immune system connected through the gut, because there's too much blockages where all this toxicity is built up shit, and there's defined, not defined muscle there, then there's simply more toxic delusions, and those systems of the viruses, parasites and fungus and all other different dementors, of which there are many, are down here underneath, controlling every single thought pattern, preventing you from controlling your own mind. And as a result, you'll have to find an external source to make up that particular area in your life and in your body. That often results in a story or a role in the matrix. You're unable to have focused presence on the present moment and actually get a good thought or a good decision on what I should do and do something good for myself. That will result in having to ask questions from everybody else and be absolutely completely insecure and reliant upon your external world. You better have brilliant friends and incredibly high level guidance around you, of which there are minimal, I mean a handful or two, to actually make a good decision that is beneficial for you to make yourself better rather than getting worse and self-sabotage. Because that's what the majority of the population are doing, because they're thinking with their butt. And then with thought patterns that go maybe 5 or 10% at best, then a massive amount of delusion, and then demonic parasites and dementors and stuff down the bottom of the butt. What's going on in the energy field? There is no energy. They're essentially destroying themselves and eating themselves alive. And they're choosing it. Then society will have to come in and say, you're useless. If you couldn't have children, if you couldn't have a job, and you're going around making mistakes all over the place and throwing out your stark raving mad thoughts and things, then who's going to want to hang around that? You'll end up with no friends and a scared little old cat lady stuck in the cave of fear-based cave of their own delusion. All because spine has been eaten alive and taken away from your own control by your own choices. Yeah, you're going to externally blame parents, society, whatever else that you choose, that's thinking with your butt. You'll take full responsibility. I highly recommend getting a colonic irrigation and cleaning out this shit, because you'll have much higher thought patterns, you'll have much more confidence, you'll actually be able to get something done. Because if you cut off here, you'll just be scattered and never be able to get anything done. Therefore, you're useless in any particular role that you choose. And we all like to feel that we're useful, we're able to achieve something in our lives. But how can we do that if we don't have the capacity to do so in our own bodily choices? Yeah. Dementia. Dementored. Demented. Doesn't sound very good, but most people are choosing it. Oh, and slow practices, yoga, meditation. Without them, you won't even realize that they're there. So, might want to fix that. Be much easier and much better quality people around.